For those of you who follow me on the website called twitter.com, you'll know that I've been tweeting lately about the millennial generation, almost to the point of obsession. The reason I feel compelled to do this is because I believe, and believe strongly, that the portrayal of the millennial generation in the media and in the larger social vibe is highly inaccurate. Millennials are perceived as, have been portrayed as hapless slackers, have no idea what they're doing, unable to face reality, victims, blaming their own faults on everyone else. Now, clearly there are some people in the generation who are like that, but one of my main ideas in regard to this matter is that millennials are the real millennials of the generation born between 1980 and 2000, have not revealed themselves yet. That the media is having a fun time portraying the members who are in the lower parts of the generational dominance hierarchy and portraying them with glee as ineffectual losers. What they're not showing you are the millennials at the apex of the generational dominance hierarchy. These people are still in their 20s and early to mid-30s, and they have been preparing and planning and getting ready to put the world on their shoulders. Not just their own generation's hopes on their shoulders, but soon, eventually and soon, the entire world. Because baby boomers and Gen Xers will not live forever. At some point, the mantle of power will be shifted to millennials. This is going to happen sooner rather than later. So these real millennials are out there, and they're not the millennials at the bottom of the generational dominance hierarchy, which is constantly portrayed by the media. They're at the top. They're at the apex. They're at the pinnacle of their generational dominance hierarchy. Now, this is a very big deal in terms of the flow of history, because the millennial generation is a heroic generation, a civic-focused, heroic generation. Now, I'm taking some of my ideas that I'm presenting to you in this video from a book called Generations, written by William Strauss and Neil Howe back in the late 90s, I believe. And I've taken a lot of their ideas and I'm adapting them so to see how they're playing out in real time, and they are playing out in real time. So one of their main ideas is that there's 4 types of generations, and we'll get into the 4 types of generations in another video. But for now, we're just going to focus on millennials. Millennials are part of a generational cycle, which consists of 4 different types of generation. The millennial generation is a heroic, civic generation. They are outwardly focused, and they are driven to make major changes in the society outside of them. Now, this may seem confusing because what you've been told by the media, what you've been memed on relentlessly for decades, is that millennials are the selfie generation, completely focused on themselves, and have no idea what's going on the world outside them. Again, you've been shown the wrong millennials. The real millennials are already focused, almost to the point of obsession, on the external world, and this is only going to grow bigger and bigger and bigger. Some of the tensions that you've seen building in society since 2016 are the very beginnings of these stages of millennials who are going to make vast changes to society externally. This is coming soon, and no one's prepared for it, and no one's talking about it, so I'm going to start talking about it. So the millennials, the ones who are going to rise to the top of their generational pyramid, their generational dominance hierarchy, are going to be heroes, externally focused heroes, who are going to build new institutions in response to the failing and flailing institutions which exist now. And if you can't see that a lot of our institutions, whether they're governmental, financial, cultural, Hollywood, are in big trouble, just drowning in the shark-infested waters. This is perfect timing. This is absolutely perfect timing for these institutions to be cracking, the foundations of these institutions to be cracking, because the millennials are just now coming to age. They are between the ages of 17, 18, and all the way up to their late 30s. And you can feel the generational angst starting to rise and people becoming aware that there's something going wrong with our society. And it's coming at the exact right time, because millennials, the older ones who have been establishing their values and understand their vision and how to maneuver in the world, are ready to go in terms of leadership and taking responsibility on their shoulders. And the younger millennials, who are in their late teens and early 20s, they may not have the worldly experience, but you should be able to feel their angst. They are the spirit. They are the driving spirit of their generation, and they are ready to go. So you have a society with cracking and crumbling institutions that need to be either fixed or replaced. And you have a rising generation which is supposed to do exactly that. A civic, heroic, outwardly, externally focused generation that wants to replace dying institutions and create big, new, thriving institutions that can throw the human race into the future with thrust and power. That is all happening right now. And so, if you're a millennial, now if you're a little bit older, if you're a boomer or a Gen Xer, we'll get to you later on. But if you're listening to this and you're a millennial, this is coming. This is you. There is a crisis coming. Every generation faces a crisis, and your crisis is near. I'm here to tell you that. Your crisis is near. It is coming. And so many of you are trapped in the old models of boomer and Gen Xer, which is super idealistic for boomers and sort of cynical and offbeat for Gen Xers. You got to start wiping that out of your consciousness. You're a heroic generation. Many of you are going to have to go on a heroic journey. You're going to have to go on the hero's journey, which happens when a hero goes on a journey when he finds that the ordinary world that he was born into is no longer working. The things that worked when he was born are no longer working, and who is going to fix them? Who is going to make society start moving forward again with thrust and momentum in a world where we can thrive with meaning, value, and worth? It's the hero. The hero goes on a journey and goes through many tests and trials to come back with the new way. And that is about to happen. And many of you who are listening to this, who are millennials, know that this is true and that you are about to go on the hero's journey. And in the next several videos, I'm going to talk about this and explain to you what exactly it means to go on the hero's journey and return to your society with a new way of doing things that can add value to the entire world.